Please, give it your all.
Welcome. This is Top Tier Tips. Greetings everyone, this is Forcing to your Top Tier Tips, and I welcome you to your prime spot for tips and tricks to help you level up in Dead or Alive 6. Alright, in this session we're going to be looking at Genfu's very bright pupil, the apprentice of the Iron Fist, Eliot. Brad Wong's journey mate is a pretty unique character. For instance, Eliot is the only lightweight male in Dead or Alive 6. He's also the only male character to have a 9-frame punch, or should I say a 9-frame palm. Basically 7p. The stop sign. Eliot also inherited some of his master's moves, which can be accessed when you press back punch plus kick or 4p plus k. This is Eliot's bear stance. From this stance you can input Master Genfu's old moves, such as his 6p, his 3p, or even his massive shoulder. Anyways, once you're done Eliot's command training, and combo challenge, then you're ready to bop fools online with your fists of iron. Not quite. It's gonna take a little bit more than that to show why your fists get stronger with age. And yeah, Eliot's combo challenge could seriously go to hell. Finally! Difficulty 3 my ass! I'll just throw this out here right now. Eliot is hard. I mean, he's not quite as difficult as like Rido or like Phase 4, but you're gonna be in for a little bit of execution if you are planning to excel with Eliot. You see, Eliot has a couple moves that you will have to acquaint yourself with quite a bit to be able to just get the most that you can out of Eliot's gameplay. The first one here is full crouch 3p. Let's see, this move is a lift stun, it's a launcher, it's combo filler. I mean, like, is there anything this move like can't do? And if you've gone through Eliot's combo challenge, you will be, let's just say you'll get very acquainted with the move. You'll get acquainted with it so much that you want to chuck your controller at the freaking wall. So just a little heads up when you do go through his combo challenge. If you're the type to chuck the controller at the wall very easily, you've been warned. The other move is any variation of that 4-6p. So you can also do the move in strings. For instance, normally Eliot would have like a PPP. Right there, that's the ender, but if you end up doing PP 4-6p and you have to just frame the last hit, that move right there, you see you end up getting a different ender. As you could probably guess, the 4-6p ender is a lot better than doing the normal ender where it connects better in combos. And I'll also let you know that it's well, it's a guard break. I think it's a positive guard break on blocks, so that is going to become a pretty useful move to the point that it's almost going to feel pretty integral if you are going to try and become like successful with Eliot. Alright, before I go on, I just want to give a big shout out to Wicked Good, also known as like Radiance, Jules, Scatter Dreams. Like, this guy just has a laundry list of pseudonyms that he goes by, like FNC Savior. So I mean, basically he just normally his name is Jules. I just want to like give a big shout out to him that he helped me out with some of the information with his guide, and he has a really wicked good Eliot. So be sure to check that guy out if you want to see some great Eliot goodness. I want you to keep this in mind while you're training Eliot. Apart from his highs like his jab or his stop sign, Eliot is not a fast character. Alright, I'm about to put on your best friend in training mode, the move details box, also referred to as a skill info, and let's check out what Eliot is packing. He's got a 10-frame jab, a 14-frame elbow, yes, that's pretty slow, and a 15-frame 2p. So with a 14-frame 6p and a 15-frame 2p and a 21-frame 6k, yeah. But he does have 3k, so a 14-frame 6k, because I really hope your knee is not 21 frames. So with a 14-frame 3k, so that means that you're basically from neutral, your fastest mids will be like around 14 frames. He does technically have a 13-frame mid, but you have to do it from crouch, and of course it's full crouch 3p. So because you have to kind of like buffer, you have to kind of buffer the crouch, this move is not really going to be coming out in like 13 frames. So for extension purposes, mids are basically be 14 frames. But like I said earlier, like his high attacks are actually decent speed. Again, 10 frame jab, 9 frame stop sign. That's -4 or -5 on block, just depending on like how far away you are. The further out you are, you can usually maybe get it a little safer. But either way, you're safe from punishment if you do this. Anytime the opponent tries to pressure you or anything, you smack him with. You just smack him with the 7K. All right. So other moves, like Eliot has like a 13 frame high kick. Well, he actually has a couple. He has his normal high kick, and a lot of Eliot's moves have string follow-ups. I mean, like this guy's got some long ass strings. His 7KK, so the 7K I showed you before, the 13 frame high kick does 23 damage. You even can set up a launcher right there. He's got his 8P is 14 frame high punch, gives you a lift stun on normal hit, leaves you at +25. The move itself only has 20 recovery frames, but its range is pretty short. I think it has some high crush capabilities, so this is a move you use if you want to kind of like start your lift stun. The alternative, of course, is full crouch 3P. Although, as you can see, this move is -12 on block, so it's not really intended to be a poke. It's one of those moves that's most commonly just used as combo filler, or if you're certain it's going to hit. Because it's from crouch, it does have some slight high crush capabilities. But yeah, but generally in close with Eliot, your fast moves are basically going to be your highs. Because Eliot's mids and lows aren't really very fast, especially for a lightweight character, you have to basically make the opponent respect this move. So you are going to have to be really careful of opponents that really love to do 2Ps on you. Like Eliot's own 2P is 15 frames, and that's pretty terrible. It's not even an advantage on hit, so it's 0. So that means after you do this, your 6P is still 14 frames. But the reason why Eliot's neutral strike speeds are slow is just because his strings are like pretty freaking long. Like I'll show you. This guy even has a 10-hit string. That 10-hit string I just performed is P plus K, P plus K, P, K, P, P plus K, P. As you can see, there is a second, the second to last string near the top. See that right there is the 10-hit string. I will let you know that it is very gimmicky, and it's basically made up mostly of mid strikes. Like the first 3 hits in it, I think, are mids. Then there's a couple highs, and the rest of it mostly are kind of mids. So the string is kind of gimmicky, but I'll let you know now. One big aspect about Eliot is that his strings can just really mess you up. Like if they usually alternate between highs or mid punches, but it's just really hard to tell which one he's like doing. Like the opponent really can't tell unless they exactly know his strings. You can't really tell. Like I admit the 10-hit string stands out a little much, but if you're mixing up your strings a lot, then you can sneak in the 10-hit string like a lot more common. But yeah, just I mean, it's weird though. His strings just alternate between like. Let me just get it. You can't delay that. I think it's been nerfed slightly. You can't delay his strings as much because the fact that at times it can be like just hard to tell which one it is. So even then, if you keep going, I mean, it's hard for the opponent to duck it. Although I will let you know there is one primary weakness to his strings as a flaw, is that they're almost like entirely linear. Like usually just see, for instance, if you can get to the last part, you can end it with like a track. Some strings you can end with like a track and make it like something like one PPK. I know there's other strings like even like PPK stuff like that. And the tracking kick, let me just show. And the tracking kick is unsafe. Well, there's commonly unsafe at, as you see here, at -12. So with Eliot, you're gonna have to kind of like make different creative uses of free cancels. You have to take advantage of the fact is that it's really hard to tell if a punch is hidden high or if it's hidden mid with Eliot. And even then, let me see. a lot of his strings can end in like a low punch too, like PP, 2P, 6PP, 2P. Even that long ass 1P string I just did there, that I think it's like his 1P string I think can go up to like 6 hits. So I mean though, like Eliot just in Dead or Alive 6, Eliot pretty much has the longest strings in the game. Alright, when you're fighting in close range with Eliot or at the beginning of a round, under most circumstances, your opponent's probably going to be faster than you. If you're fighting someone that has a 9-frame jab, then they're basically going to be like faster than you on pretty much every hit level. So essentially, you're mostly going to be just working with their like highs. For instance, your 10-frame jab or your 9-frame palm. Well, alright, the 9-frame palm also has a little perk to it. Because it deals 16-frame damage and jabs deal 10 damage, it actually can out-prioritize 9-frame jabs, but on like the mids and on the mid-level and low-level, Eliot is just pretty damn slow. So under most circumstances, in close range or at the beginning of the round, you're going to be adopting a defensive position. So usually just pressing your guard button, your H button. What you're doing is looking for an opportunity to hit the stop sign on the opponent. The other alternatives is to try and hit even like a 2P, try and get something going with your... You could try the 1P string. I mean, Eliot does actually have some good lows, but I'll go over that in a little bit. So essentially, when you block something when you either hit the opponent with 7P, or if you just block something that leaves you at enough leaves the opponent at enough negative and you at enough positive frames in order to basically get your turn and to strike back, then you could start using like your 6P string, your PP strings. I mean, I know there's different, they can branch off on different hit levels, or even like your 1P string. So I mean the 1P string actually has like a total of 6 potential hits, so that's pretty crazy. Although I mean in general on a normal hit you don't really get much from it. So like what I ended up implying earlier, once you get your strings going, then most of the time the opponents you're gonna may end up having like a little bit of difficulty just determining where you're going to end your string. I mean, they may know that it goes mid punch, high punch, back and forth, but they may not necessarily know where you may end it. So I mean, and then in that case, they may try and sidestep you, and you would have to free cancel. But generally, when you get your strings going, you're usually in control. But you do have to keep note if the opponent tries to sidestep you a lot. But don't worry, I mean, Eliot does have tools to deal with that. Along with 7P, Eliot actually has a really good crush move to just basically just help him out during like the neutral game, like relatively close, and that's his 2H plus K. This move is just crazy good. So what it is 2H plus K P, and essentially this move is basically and you can do like a little juggle after. It's a normal hit low launcher. So or it's basically a normal hit launcher off of a low. The only real kind of downside to, I mean, well, besides the fact that yes, it is unsafe, but the opponent can hold the second part of it. But see, this move is delayable, and even if you don't launch, you get a plus 32 stun. So generally, when the opponent's fighting Eliot, they're usually going to be waiting for you necessarily to use this move. But if you're adopting a position or a defensive position, then what you're doing is you're kind of seeing what the opponent's doing, like when are they like using their highs, and if you you don't necessarily have to use it in their face, even though it's a pretty good crush. So you could, even if you're like a slightly out from close range. See, this move can still like poke, then launch, and you can do like a fair, somewhat low level launch. But just to let you know that this is basically a move that you want to make your opponent just get really like annoyed by, because you can even just get +1 if you just do the first part. So I mean, it's a really good move to just kind of like help you out a little bit during the neutral game, or like fairly close neutral. I might have mentioned earlier that there's actually a nice perk to Eliot's Eliot's strings. It's generally any mid punch string that ends in that punch right there, you could just frame the last hit, and you end up getting that ender right there. I mean, even that one has a close hit property, but the main thing about it is that if you can end your strings with that punch, you leave yourself at +2, which is really good. So not only have you ended up getting to the end of the string, but you've gotten it to the end of it with +2. So again, any version like PPP, 6 PPP, or 6 PPP, yes, 1 PPP, lots of P's, 6 PPP. Like, I mean, there's like a bunch of strings that can end with it, and if you can get that ender, I mean, it just makes those strings even that much more potent, and then you can like end up pressuring all over again. As a tip for performing this string this string ender at the, usually at the end of like almost like any of his strings, you usually have to input the 4/6P earlier than you think. The way how the just frame works is that you have to input the for 4/6 for like, let's say 4/6P, you would have to get the P and the 6 right at the same time. If you're just doing a raw 4/6P, I mean, you don't really have to just frame it, but in strings you have to, or you just end up getting that ender instead. For instance, for 6 PPP, like right there I did it a little late so it doesn't work. A little tip I end up doing for it, for instance, if you're doing it off your 6P string, what you do is, in your mind, be input in 6 PPP, but with the directions, you basically have to do forward, back, forward, like without a gap or anything, like that. Like, you basically have to just go forward, back, forward, while basically pressing the P at least 3 times, and that usually ends up getting the desired result. For the P string, like doing off the jab string, you don't have like you can't just do forward, back, forward. For this one, it's a little different. What you do is just tap PP, then just do 4/6P. So just do 1 2, then do the 4/6P like right in between, and remember, trying to get the 6 and the P at the same time. It's obviously trickier with strings like 1 PP. With the 1P string, just because of just how long of it is, and you have to keep track of how many moves there are. But it's the same kind of principle of doing the 4/6P, basically doing it. You have to input it before the last P comes up, so you just do it a little earlier than you think. All right, so as a reminder, the strings that can end in the 4/6P ender is PPP, 6 PPP, 1 PPP, PPP, 6/6 PPP, 9 PPP. So if I'm not mistaken, and 4 PPP. So I mean, you see there's like numerous strings that can end into that, and honestly, if you mix it up well, it's really hard for the opponent to keep track of. And if you can like end with that, again, you can just keep going with your pressure. So, and then if you can like mix it up well, it just becomes a case of just keeping the opponent's sidestep in check, and you have that with your 4K. Alright, and now, I haven't forgotten about it, now to train Eliot's Choreo move. Also known as the full crouch 3P, or I just call it the Devil Fist. As you see right here, I recommend you to go down over to his combo challenge. I know I still have nightmares from it. And basically, any combo from like 9 onwards pretty much uses it. But you just start to really hate this move once you get to about combo challenge 12 onwards. So, and basically for practicing this move, I recommend just simply go into this combo challenge and just simply just doing it like over and over. I mean, as you can see, it's technically possible to do it 6 times in a row, but I don't really like recommend it. Alright, so the standard way to input it is simply hold down 3, and then you can literally just hold it down and do it the same way. Although if you want to be able to do it kind of the fast way, also known as instant full crouch 3P, what you're going to be doing is doing a forward. As you see right there, it's forward, then down forward P, or 6/6/3P. Alright, to be careful, sometimes it inputs it as 3/3P, which can be incredibly annoying. But once you can start to get the hang of it, oh man, and stop doing that, then it can start to come out like a little faster, and really don't feel like trying to do this combo challenge right now. So yeah, it's a little tricky to do it while also talking. But yes, usually what you want to do is try and do 6-6 3P, and that's your instant full crouch 3P, or your instant Choreo. Now, with reference to Eliot's bear stance, which is basically gives him access to Genfu's moves, you can also access this move off of like basically off of other moves, like stuff like full crouch 3P, 8P. So there are a bunch of like numerous moves that can go off it. And you can, of course, you can just go into the stance by doing 4P plus K. As you see right now, for those that remember Genfu, he had some like really good frames in some move. For instance, your 6P now becomes 11 frame. Your high kick becomes 11 frames. While your jab is still the same, and it's the same -2 on hit. So you get his 3P, but unfortunately, you don't get the kind of complete awesomeness from it. Like, you still get the monstrous lift stun, but you only get the first part, because I guess they didn't want you to do the 2 double punch shenanigans. So I'll just let you know, this move right here is a really good high crush. Like, this move crushes people's hopes and dreams. Like, I mean, if I remember correctly, it could even crush some mids. So, I mean, that's basically a good high crush. For a low crush, you have Eliot some H plus K, which is a launcher on counter hit. It's a really good move. For crush moves in general, Eliot's 2H plus K is his go-to for... doesn't really have good low crushes. I mean, his 6H plus K can jump. He also has like 7K, even though that one's more of a DP like move. So I mean, so low crushes with Eliot is not really his forte, but it's just, this move is just like so good. But as for the bear stance, you commonly can use it in combos. Like, you saw like some of the combos in the combo challenge ends up like using it. You can end with stuff like bear stance 6 PPP plus K. But in general, bear stance basically just gives you access to some new moves, but it I don't know if I would really say it necessarily improves his neutral. It just gives him like more moves, because you have to enter into the stance in it. And as you see right there, it takes a few frames to do so, so you don't really get a 10 frame jab or an 11 frame mid or 11 frame high kick out of it. But alright, having more moves is never a bad thing, and of course you also get access to Genfu's super launcher throw. Eliot is pretty good for mid-range. Like, for starters, he has like no problem really getting on the opponent. Like, you can use like 6-6K, leaves you semi-safe. 6H plus K leaves you at -5. You can also use the 6-6P string and just use the just frame ender right there. Another move you can also use is another guard break, is 4-6-6P plus K, or back forward P plus K. It leaves you at +4, but this move is probably the most telegraphed at the moves. It is 25 frames and is linear, and like I said, yeah, Eliot has slight challenges dealing with tracking compared to other characters, but it's still a pretty good move. With regards to poking, Eliot's not as strong at this as he is at just simply like getting in on the opponent. But for poking, you could try like his 2H plus K. I know it is an unsafe low, but the follow-up is delayable, like I said earlier. And just Eliot just has basically he has a lot of good mids for getting in on in general. That the opponent has to account for those. So you can occasionally try and sneak in the low. You can also try and poke with like 3K. You can also do stuff like P4P. This one is also like This move's also really good in close. I forgot to mention it, but it sets up Eliot's back turn, where something like, for instance, his back turn K ends up just like leaving -2 on block, which is really good, especially when you have a 7-frame palm. So you could kind of like try and do some poke baits a little bit with that, and of course you can end up like leading into like more moves with it. So, but with regards to mid-range play with Eliot, you can either try and like try and get in with him, or like use some stuff like for whiff punishment. For instance, a move that you could use as a mid-range whiff punisher is something like Eliot's 13-frame 9K. And you could like do like a small juggle or whatever like right after it. So this move only... Not that move. This move only launches on counter hit, but at 13 frames it is quite good, and you need to be careful. That is a high. If the opponent whiffs something that has like more recovery, then you could try and whiff punish with either like basically like 4 6-6 plus K, the 6-6 P strings, or like 6K, 6H plus K, even though this causes like a knockdown. So basically, majority of Eliot's get-in moves also make like pretty good whiff punishers, with 9K being the fastest one. Eliot's throw game is pretty good. For instance, there's this 5-frame neutral throw, 47 damage. There's this two-part, he's a 2-part 7-frame throw, deals 64 damage if you get both parts. But if you choose to elect to not do the second T after 6T, then if the opponent doesn't break it formally, you'll be at neutral, so you can jab or 7P. If they do, if the opponent does break it, you'll be at -10, so you should usually try and finish it. Oh, and the neutral throw can, as you see, the neutral throw and the forward T, 6T throws can get wall damage there for an extra 10 damage. Really good. Eliot has a second 7-frame throw. His 4T, it switches sides and does 50 damage. It's only 6 damage more than this, so there's honestly not much point in really doing that. Eliot also has 2 10-frame throws. Well, not that, so he has his quarter circle back T. So this throw is really dangerous. It's basically a reset throw, so it's 40. It does 45 damage. You see, at least you get +10. Unfortunately, due to how the frames work in Dead or Alive 6, you need 2 frames to be able to follow up on frame advantages. So your 10-frame jab and your 9-frame palm won't be guaranteed after it. But honestly, though, I mean, you could kind of just, you could almost do like any move that you want after it, as long as it's not like 20 frames or like slower. So even stuff like the P4P, 6P strings, 6P P strings, even like KP, like a bunch of stuff you can like do after it. And Eliot's other 10-frame throw that he does have is his forward 4T. If you just want the damage, then you can go for this one. But in general, this 10-frame throw is better than quarter circle back T. Unlike this 7-frame thrower, honestly, there's basically like no point in going for that throw. You might as well always go for that one. But for the 10-frame, there's a little bit more. Like for instance, you do 62 damage here, and you do 45 damage here. So that is a bit more of a difference of damage if you really want the damage. Especially if, for instance, if you're punishing like a whipped hold with that, then that will end up dealing like almost 100. So let's see, on high counter, how much does this deal? Yeah, 99 damage. In fact, if the opponent whiffs a hold on you, like for instance, if you end up stunning your opponent with one of Eliot's lengthy strings on like counter hit, or some of them even on normal hit like 6P, then this throw, the 12-frame throw, quarter circle forward T, becomes like really good. Like there is a bunch of juggles you can do after this, and you can even have a little special attribute off of Eliot's launcher throws. If you dash up and press the throw button, then Eliot shows what the true gentleman he is, and then he just catches the opponent in the air and leaves himself at +14, which is good enough for a punch in the face. or like P4P. Unfortunately, again, because of how frames work, your 13 frame high kick won't be guaranteed. So I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some people out there that miss the old days, like with Genfu, where you have 11 frame high kick to be able to follow up after that throw, which you learned from Master Genfu, of course. But unfortunately, PP or P4P will probably be your go-tos after the catch. Anyways, let me show you some stuff that you can do off of the launcher throw. Finally! As you could see right there, Eliot's throw from his bear stance, 4 people's KT, can launch the opponent into the ceiling. Unfortunately, Eliot's normal quarter circle T, Eliot's own throw, does not launch into the ceiling because Genfu was a badass like that and used to just grab people off the ceiling. If I'm not mistaken, if you're fast enough, you can even catch your opponent from the ceiling. So it's a pretty sick throw. So, but in general, for like if you do the bear stand throw or the normal quarter circle T in open space without a ceiling, the juggles that you'll do will be pretty similar because both throws launch pretty high in general. So with regardless of what throw you do, just do the same juggles in open space. But if you're under a ceiling, as you saw a little earlier, this throw becomes very dangerous. Eliot's hold game is fairly interesting. Like his standard holds, like most of them just kind of do 52 damage and leave the opponent close by, like right there, the high punch hold. But there are other holds like his mid punch hold, for instance. So you can knock the opponent back for 55 damage and can get environmental damage also like so. So that's a nice hold that he inherited from Genfu. But yeah, most of Eliot's holds leave the opponent kind of close by and does like standard damage. His mid kick hold is pretty interesting because it's a different type of hold. You see right here, it's a reset hold. It gives you plus 10 frame advantage plus back turn, so it's treated as like plus 15. And with that, you can get a free 9k launcher. Just follow up with this combo. To help Eliot out in close range combat, because remember his mids and lows aren't the fastest, he has a couple parries to protect himself. He has a high parry inputted with 9H or up forward H. That will catch all high punches and high kicks. He also has a mid parry, 3H or down forward H. This will catch all mid punches and mid kicks. Unfortunately, doesn't have a low parry because that's kind of overkill. So let's say you were to catch some high punches. You see? Plus 15. Let's say I were to catch like now a mid punch with 3H. See, plus 15. So this is the same as the mid kick. This is the same as the mid kick hold. So each time, if you attack right away, you get a free 9kk. You got to do the second hit to be able to get the launch because it's not counter hit, because it's not on a back turn. And with that, you could basically do the same combo as off of a mid kick, just like this. Eliot inherited another move from Master Genfu, his parry, 4 People's K 3H or Bear Stance 3H. It operates almost pretty much the same as like a normal parry, but you can do it from Bear Stance. When you do parry something, let's say a mid kick for instance, slow down, Ion. Alright, there, you'll be left at plus 18. Although, unfortunately, it's not really enough to be able to get his 8k, so in this case, just use 9kk and just use, you know, the same combo. When you have the opponent backed in the corner of Eliot, wall slam with these moves. You can use like 9k, neutral k. 9kk can wall slam on, his other 13 frame high kick can wall slam on normal hit, but on counter hit, just the first k will get the wall slam for wall juggles. Other stuff is like can use like 4-6p, 8k, and he's a bunch of stuff that can cause a small wall slam, like this 14 frame mid kick, 3k, 2p plus k, 6-6p, 6-6k, so like a bunch of options. Unfortunately, majority of and there's also stuff, I mean, if you want to track in wall slam, the 16 frame jump in high kick. But an unfortunate thing for Eliot is that like he says, his launchers do tend to like wall slam, so if you get the small wall slump, you pretty much only have full crouch 3p as your launcher. Oh, and you can also wall slam opponents with something like 4pk. Alright, so when you do wall slam the opponent, follow up with this combo. And if you get the small wall slump, follow up with this combo. Alright guys, that's it for now. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact me on my YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, so that means leaving a very nice question down below. You can also contact Force Nature on freestepdodge.com, and be sure to check out my other guides, both my character guides and my top tier advanced guides, to get a nice little look at this stunning game that is Dead or Alive 6. And if you'd like to support the channel, feel free to join Top Tier Fighters. The support does help, and I do appreciate it. Anyways, this is Force Nature signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on Top Tier Tips.